Welcome back to my channel. You already know it's your boy Hood Diggity, the Rock Reactor, back with another video. Yes, sir. Before I proceed, let me know where you tapping in from. Let me know what country, what city, what mountain, what hill, what cave, what island, what planet, what universe. Let me know where you at. Represent your hood. Yes, sir. We got the basic news. We got the news now. This one, the whole hemisphere is on high alert. I looked a little bit on the video, and I'm assuming that President Trump is now planning to stop at Venezuela. President Trump is planning to move on to drug countries such as Colombia, Mexico, and on and on and on, specifically Colombia and Mexico. If you ask me, I think he should have started with Colombia. Because, guys, the thing is that it's about time somebody does something. You have to understand that drugs are killing the United States. Drugs is hurting the United States. For example, in my country, I live in the Caribbean, and a lot of drugs go through here. A lot of drugs, before, drugs used to go through here to go to the United States from Colombia, from Venezuela. But then it started staying here. So we have a drug problem in my country. And I'm glad that the president here is cooperating with the American authorities, because it helps. Because if no drugs come in through here, drugs are not going to stay here. So it benefits both countries. At the end of the day, guys, drugs is a problem. And President Trump is taking the gloves off. And I'm a firm believer that you have to rule with an iron hand. You have to be radical in order to get things done. If you play by the rules all the time, things don't ever get done. You're just basically putting a Band-Aid on everything. But anyway, let's check this out, guys. Let's check out this video. And before we do, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, hit the like button. Any donations to my channel will be greatly appreciated. My PayPal account is on the screen. The whole hemisphere is on high alert.
Biden and Trump are now tied. They've both held 9 cabinet meetings. But Trump's going to beat his record because he has 3 more years. We're not even sure about Biden's number because one meeting was hosted by Jill. And a major update on Jill Biden later in the show, so stay with us.
You always find something new, like, is he in good health? Biden was great, but is Trump in good health? I sit here, I do 4 news conferences a day. I ask questions from very intelligent.
You never accuse Trump of not having a sense of humor. You can never accuse him of that.
Show, so stay with us.
You always find something new, like, is he in good health? Biden was great, but is Trump in good health? I sit here, I do 4 news conferences a day. I ask questions from very intelligent lunatics, you people.
Intelligent lunatics.
I do a news conference for 8 months. If I go one day, I had one day where I didn't do a news conference, there's something wrong with the president. You people are crazy.
Biden called a lid by 1 every day. Trump's working 12-hour shifts.
You people are crazy. I like that. Let me rewind that, guys. I like that. I like that shit. Trump is wild.
If I go one day, I had one day where I didn't do a news conference, there's something wrong with the president.
You people are crazy.
You people are crazy.
Biden called a lid by 1 every day. Trump's working 12-hour shifts. The Oval Office logs show that he clocked in 50-hour work weeks last month. It's more than Greg. And he still had time to post 160 times last night. How does he sleep? The sweet sounds of pile drivers are driving Melania crazy.
The trucks and cranes and excavators in the background, and you hear them, and every time I hear them, I love the sound. To me, I love the sound. I wouldn't say my wife is thrilled. She hears pile drivers in the background all day, all night. They go till 12 o'clock in the evening, day, night, pile drivers. Darling, could you turn off the pile drivers? Sorry.
I got the same thing, guys. I got the same thing. I got a construction in the back of my house, and I can't wait till they finish it up because I hear pile drivers and hammers and all types of shit.
Darling, that's progress.
It's not just the White House that's getting a makeover. The whole world looks different.
It's also an honor to be involved in and be a witness to what I believe is the most transformational year in American foreign policy since the end of the Second World War, at least. And it's transformational because for the first time in a long time, we have a president who basically puts America at the forefront of every decision we make in our relations with the world.
Trump's chief negotiator paid Moscow a visit today. Steve Witkoff was meeting with the Russians, hoping to iron out this peace deal before the new year. The Ukrainians have already given the green light, and the press, they're at the edge of their seats.
Here we go. This guy's a beauty. Go ahead.
Secretary Rubio mentioned your meetings ongoing in Russia today. Do you have any update from Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner?
No, because I've been spending too much time with you. I mean, we're spending a lot of time in here.
Witkoff and Kushner met with Putin today and asked him, deal or no deal? Trump wants another record.
We ended 8 wars. Think of that. 8 wars, but we're going to do one more, I think. I hope. Now they're saying, if he ever ends the war with Russia and Ukraine, he's going to get the Nobel Prize. What about the other 8 wars? I should get the Nobel Prize for every war, but I don't want to be greedy.
Trump just wants to get into heaven. But before that, he wants to make sure our house is in order, and that includes cleaning up the backyard. Biden left it a mess. The cartels are squatting on the porch.
He allowed them into our country, totally unvetted, totally unchecked. But he also allowed drugs to come in at record numbers, and hundreds of thousands of people a year died. And we're taking those son of a bitches out.
The Secretary of War is hearing his orders loud and clear. The mission's on.
We've only just begun striking narco boats and putting narco terrorists at the bottom of the ocean because they've been poisoning the American people. And Joe Biden tried to approach it with kid gloves and allowed them to come across the border. Hundreds of thousands of Americans poisoned. And President Trump said, no, we're taking the gloves off.
11 U.S. warships in the Caribbean.
You know, guys, somebody that is not in the United States, somebody that's in another country, a lot of people may disagree with Trump's tactics. But if you had a president half of Trump, of what Trump is doing, of what Trump's work, we would probably have a better Latin America, guys. Guys, you have to understand that he has to take care of his house, and his house is infested with drugs, and it's been infested for years. So he has to do something about it. I mean, I don't agree with his methods, but I understand it. And I probably do agree because I probably would do the same thing, guys. You have to be radical. Countries don't change if you're not radical. Look at President from Salvador, Bukele. He stopped all the gangs. He's contained probably 99% of all the gangs in this country. His country is one of the safest countries in the world. Used to be one of the most dangerous, or the most dangerous countries in the world. How did he do it? He didn't do it by having people liking him. He didn't give a fuck. He just, he took the gloves off and said, this is what's going to happen. And where is that country now?
And 15,000 troops are waiting for the call. Maduro in Venezuela knows exactly what's coming because Trump's telling him.
I can say this. I want those boats taken out. And if we have to, we'll attack on land also, just like we attack on sea. And there's very little coming in by sea. I think we've knocked out over 90% of it.
Trump told him, leave or else. And with all the coke boats being smoked, the president's getting closer to making the call. Maduro has 3 options. Leave with your life, stay and risk it, or go underground and run a shadow government from the rainforest. Reports say the socialist dictator is preparing his forces for guerrilla warfare. Or Maduro's men might mutiny. Their military's small and inexperienced, and Russia's closed up their war chest. Chuck Schumer, though, he thinks he's tough, and he wants to play too.
Let me be clear. If Trump were to order an attack on land, that would be an act of war, and Congress would invoke the War Powers Act.
Congress hasn't formally declared war since World War II. And I'm not sure we want Schumer involved. He can't even keep the government open. Trump's fighting terrorism, narco-terrorism. He's not starting a war. The war on drugs has been going on since the 80s. He's just the first president not to surrender. And it's not just Venezuela. The whole hemisphere is on high alert.
You just mentioned potential land strikes. Can you elaborate anything on that?
I will elaborate. If they come in through a certain country or any country, I hear Colombia, the country of Colombia, is making cocaine. They have cocaine manufacturing plants, okay? and then they sell us their cocaine. We appreciate that very much. But yeah, anybody that's doing that and selling it into our country is subject to attack.
The president just announced an entirely new doctrine. Any country that manufactures narcotics and sells it into our country is subject to attack. He's not just talking about vessels. Missile strikes inside Colombia, for instance, or Venezuela. Mexico definitely heard this. Getting filthy rich hooking our people on poison is now officially a terrorist act. And the cartels will be dealt with like Al-Qaeda. And governments that harbor them will be dealt with. This is a major escalation. Millions of Americans have been murdered by drug gangs in cities like Chicago, Philly. Overdose deaths have ravaged communities. Addictions torn families apart. It's made poor, young, desperate women do unspeakable things. Cartels have injected.
Guys, I said this before. I'm an ex-drug addict. I'm an ex-alcoholic. I've been clean, thank God, for the most part of a decade. And I know what drugs do. And I know what drugs do to families. I know what drugs do to society. I know what drugs do for crime. Drugs is like a multivitamin for crime. So I definitely know what that's about. And I totally agree with everything this man is saying. And I totally agreed with President Trump. You have to have a strong tactic, because those countries, Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela, they're bringing drugs to my country, and they're not stopping. They're not doing anything to stop those narcos. One, specifically Mexico, they're getting rich off of poisoning other people, other citizens of other countries. In this case, United States. They're getting rich from that. Right? And they're not stopping. They're not stopping those narcos in their country, nor do they want to allow the Americans to go to their country and stop it. So there's nothing else that they could do. And what these other presidents have done in the past is just let it ride. Put a Band-Aid on everything. But still, drugs are still going into their country. My country is a bridge to go to send drugs to the United States. And I'm glad the president is cooperating with the Americans, because that stops the drugs from coming in here, which is something that all countries should do. Other countries, Jamaica, whatever. Other countries should stop, because drugs are going into their country, and drugs fuck up society.
Decades of death into our nation. And now we're finally, for once, killing them. Democrats now are accusing us, though, of murder.
What do we call it when there isn't a war?
I guess the common word would be murder. For Pete's sake, you've got people whose boat has been blown up. To make a Hollywood reference,
I'm going to stop it right here also, guys, because this right here pisses me off, because I would love to ask them, what the fuck were you guys doing when you was in power? What were you guys doing? Okay, you're not committing murder. You're not bombing these boats, but you're letting these drugs come in the United States and not only murder citizens, but fuck up a whole society. Look at Kensington. I would love to sit these guys down and ask them these questions to see what they're going to say.
when the bad guys are machine gunning the survivors in the water, it's not Americans in the movies. It's the bad guys.
How does not so young Sheldon think airstrikes work? We're only allowed to use one missile, and if the boat doesn't sink, the coke's still floating around, and not every terrorist is killed. What are we supposed to do? We're not allowed to launch another missile? Everything has to be a one-punch knockout, no combos? We have to chopper in and rescue all the terrorists and bring them to a hospital?
If the target is a boat and people, the mission is to destroy the boat and kill the people. In about 25% of these kind of attacks, we do reattack. Either if the facility was the objective, to destroy the rest of the facility. If the people is the objective.
What do narcos do when you catch their drugs and you confiscate their drugs? You know what narcos do? They try again until they get the drugs inside the United States. They attack again, right? So it's the same. It should be considered the same way.
Objective to kill the rest of the people. That's just the reality of what we're dealing with, and people got to get their head around this.
When we hit a tank, what are we supposed to do? Wait for bad guys to jump out and then let them run away so they can get into another tank? If the Coke boat hasn't sank after the first strike, do we wait for the narco terrorists to call for backup and load the cocaine onto another boat and get away? Or do we just knock the boat down to the bottom of the ocean like we just did? These traffickers are on deliver or die missions. They're not leaving hundreds of kilos floating in the Caribbean. These guys' lives mean nothing. It's the kilos that count. If these narco terrorists swim back to shore and tell their boss, El Jefe, we didn't deliver the product and we don't have the money. The Americans, kaboom. What do you think El Jefe is going to do? You think they're going to believe that story? You think they're going to like that story? They're going to torture them until they tell them where the cocaine is or where the money went. And when they don't get an answer, they're going to get a bullet in their head, and then they're going to get buried in the jungle. In a way, we actually did these guys a favor. The media doesn't even believe these bad hombres are running drugs on the high seas. They think it's a bunch of bachelors on a fishing trip.
Here's the thing. There's no way they know who is on these boats. They could just be fishermen. President El Pork Chapo said, blow them up anyway. He doesn't care. He doesn't even eat fish that don't start with filet-o.
First, it was the Maryland dad. Now they have a new name for drug smugglers.
The U.S. military ordered a second strike on defenseless shipwrecked survivors.
Oh, so they're like Jack and Rose from the Titanic. I'll never let go, Juan. Sometimes you have to take a life to save a life.
I would love to ask these Democrats, man, they need to evaluate, or everybody that's criticizing this, you guys need to evaluate whose side are you on. And if there are fishermen, which they're not, I doubt it, you should know that if you're in the water, right now, if you're in the water, you're subject to get bombed. So don't go in the water. It's just that simple.
And those two strikes blew up more cocaine than Charlie Sheen could do in a year. But the alleged nipple Nazis calling these guys survivors, like they just got voted off the island.
If it's true that we dropped a second bomb in order to kill survivors, that is absolutely a war crime. There needs to be an investigation. And we need to make sure that the people conducting illegal activity are held accountable.
When ISIS runs away from...
You know what I don't understand, guys? That these people that are yelling war crimes, these people that are yelling, the Democrats that are criticizing, what did you guys do about it? And you guys do not have a solution. You guys know just how to criticize and criticize. When you guys were in power, when Biden was there, Biden wasn't doing a motherfucking thing to stop it. Nothing. Drugs were still getting in. Matter of fact, drugs were getting in with illegal immigrants. Everybody was getting in. Not only drugs, but terrorists were getting in. Criminals, rapists were going in the country just like nothing. So now you do not have the credibility. You shouldn't have the balls, the cojones to criticize what Trump is doing because you guys wasn't doing shit. A lot of governments do that. When you was in power, you didn't do shit. And now you criticize the person that's there that's actually doing something. At the end of the day, guys, if you guys really think about it, Trump is fixing all of Biden's bullshit. All the shit that Biden did, he's spending his whole term, 90% of his term, fixing or doing what Biden didn't do.
From a drone strike. Do we call them survivors? They tried to impeach Trump over the perfect phone call. And now they want him and Hegseth impeached over the perfect boat strike. The DOW says it was all by the book.
I watched that first strike live. As you can.
What I would love to know is, okay, we're going to impeach Trump. We're going to impeach Trump. We're going to defund ICE. We're going to defund the police. We're going to defund Border Patrol. Okay, we're going to get Trump out of the way. And then what are you going to do? You're going to put Kamala Harris there? I just don't get it, guys. I just don't get it.
Imagine at the Department of War, we got a lot of things to do. So I didn't stick around for the hour and 2 hours, whatever, where all the sensitive site exploitation digitally occurs. So I moved on to my next meeting. A couple of hours later, I learned that that commander had made which he had the complete authority to do.
You know who agrees? That would be the New York Times. Yeah, the New York Times. Hegseth ordered a lethal attack, but not the killing of survivors, officials say. The Times then, in an unprecedented act of journalism, called out the Washington Post for reporting what happened without context. You know you've lost the plot when the Times steps in and fact checks the fake news.
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded and fire and smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand. You sit in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post about kill everybody, phrases on anonymous.
Yeah, this is called informational attack.
Anonymous sources not based in anything, not based in any truth at all.
If we're going to investigate the Pentagon for killing terrorists, then Barack Hussein Obama needs to be investigated too. Palms away, Barry was so trigger happy that he not only killed terrorists, he killed survivors and hundreds of innocent civilians. Obama launched a drone strike at a wedding. Not a single soldier stood up and said, I refuse to comply with this illegal order. This is a wedding, darn it. There are women and children here. What do you think would happen if the Trump administration called in an airstrike at a Venezuelan wedding? It'd be over. Democrats would storm the Capitol, and in their case, they'd say it was okay. Meanwhile, cartels have killed more Americans than Al-Qaeda ever did. Biden bombed a family in Afghanistan, 10 innocent people, and they just said, we messed up. The Secretary of War is not afraid of any incoming. He's taking it in stride. He posted this: for your Christmas wish list, Franklin targets narco-terrorists. Now seditious Six Kelly's crashing out.
He runs around on a stage like he's a 12-year-old playing Army. And it is ridiculous. It is embarrassing. And I can't imagine what our allies think. And last night, he's putting out on the internet.
He said his allies, what the allies think. But guys, you need to understand the drugs, most of the drugs is not going into the allies' country. It's not their citizens that are getting killed and poisoned with drugs. It's not their society, their communities that are getting destabilized. All these businesses in Kensington closed. If you had a business, if you have a store in Kensington, a clothing store, everything needs to be closed because nobody would go there. Everybody's sleeping in the streets, defecating in the streets. What about that?
Turtles with rocket-propelled grenades. Have you seen this?
Even after the story's been debunked, Democrats are now blackmailing soldiers, threatening to put them in prison if they keep following orders. Listen.
The statute of limitations for any crimes being committed now 5 years. It will extend well beyond the end of the Trump administration.
Hakeem just said anyone in the federal government carrying out the president's agenda could be facing charges, whether it's in the military, Homeland Security, ICE. They're saying next time a Democrat wins the White House, they're going to try to put you in prison. Now, what's so sensitive about the cartels in Latin America?
You know, guys, I pray to God that the Democrats don't win the election next presidential election, because they're going to do what Biden did when he beat Trump in the last election when he came into power. He said, just because we're sorry, we have to make up. And this is the reason why he let all those illegal immigrants, millions and millions of illegal immigrants and terrorists and rapists and murderers and narco traffickers in the country. He wanted to make up for what Trump did. And what he did basically is that he undid what Trump was aiming to do.
certain people are trying to protect. Same thing happened in Ukraine, remember? When Trump zeroed in on Biden family corruption there, a CIA agent leaked a phone call to Schiff and they impeached the president. Now Trump's zeroing in on Latin America, and CIA Slotkin is threatening soldiers, and someone in the deep state's leaking to the Post, trying to get Hegseth impeached. What kind of corruption and money are we looking at down here in Latin America that some people in our government don't want looked at?
Exactly. That's the same thing I'm asking. We need to look at whose side are you on? Whose side are you on?
We know the CIA and USAID, they've been playing games down there for decades in the dark. Now, the minute Trump takes an interest in our own backyard, not in Europe, not in the Middle East, suddenly powerful forces are trying to set him up. Very fishy. When did killing terrorists become a scandal? Democrats can let them come into our country and kill us, but we can't kill them? They're defending drug smugglers over American families. What about our rights and our lives?
Want even more Fox News?
What's crazy is that this goes beyond killing also. This is destabilizing a whole country. When you flood drugs into a country, you destabilize it. You break up families, you break up communities, you fuck businesses up, because when a town or a city is drug infested, crime goes up, it feeds crime, people stealing to get their drugs. All of a sudden, if you have businesses, just look at Kensington, you have businesses, that's all broken. That's it. Those businesses, property value goes down. It cripples a whole community. A lot of people don't give this mind. Don't pay attention to this shit. Guys, you already know, man. This is crazy. Let me know what you guys think, man. Let me know what you guys think, guys. Sometimes you can't play. You can't fight the bad guys just being good all the time, because you're not gonna win. Sometimes you gotta take the gloves off, guys. Sometimes I'm very, 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 very. I favor the fact that you have to rule with an iron fist. You can't just play by the rules all the time, especially with somebody that's not playing by the rules. And sometimes you got to look out for your own. A president's job and his administration is to look out for their country first, putting their country first. I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. And I wish all presidents would do that. Guys, you already know, man. Subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell. Hit the like button. Any donations to my channel will be greatly appreciated. My PayPal account is on the screen. Peace, love, and God bless.